These are the lightest and fluffiest, giant, pillow soft cinnamon rolls. And because cinnamon rolls can be a lot, this is an overnight cinnamon roll recipe. So you make the dough the day before and then actually bake them in the morning. And in this video, I'm going to go through every step of this recipe to get these giant, pillow soft cinnamon rolls. And of course, if you're enjoying this video, please like and subscribe. It helps the channel, and let's get into it. Alright, so the first step in making these cinnamon rolls is to make a starter. Now this is optional, but it does give the cinnamon rolls that big, kind of fluffy, light texture. And it also enhances the flavor. So you're going to mix your flour and your yeast and your water together until you get this nice pasty texture. Cover it with plastic wrap and place this in a warm place for about an hour to an hour and a half until it gets nice and activated. And then once your starter is nice and bubbly and activated, you're going to start making the dough. Now again, this part is optional, but it does help with the texture of the cinnamon rolls. So you're going to pour your milk into a small pot and put it over medium heat. And you're going to let your milk kind of come to a very, very light simmer here. You don't want it boiling, but just really getting that light simmer. And you're going to add your flour and mix very vigorously. You do want to take this off the heat so that it's not burning the flour. And just mixing until you get this nice thick paste. You do want to try to get the clumps out as well. And just mix, mix, mix like this. And doing this until it gets to a nice thickened consistency. And if yours is not getting thick, you can put it over heat and just mixing consistently until it gets to that texture. And once it has reached that texture, you're going to place this mixture into a large bowl of a standing mixer. As you can see, it's still hot. We are going to let it cool down by adding a bit of that cold water and mixing it together here. So just mixing it to combine essentially. And then you're going to add your yeast and mix it together. Now once this is combined together, set it aside to let the yeast activate a little bit. You'll see little bubbles like that once it is starting to activate. You just want to leave it for a few minutes, like 5 to 10 minutes. Then you can add your milk and your yogurt, mix that to combine. And then from here, you're going to add your egg and mix it in to combine. Once all of those ingredients are mixed together, you're going to add in your flour, your sugar, and your melted butter. You're also going to add in your starter here. I just forgot to actually add it in. So I added it in after, but it doesn't really matter. Just adding it in with everything else. And then you're going to knead this for about 10 to 15 minutes until you get a nice consistency out of the dough. I also didn't get this on video, but placing it in a lightly greased bowl, covering it and placing it in the fridge overnight or until it doubles in size. Now this part of the cinnamon sugar can be done the same day or right before you're getting ready to bake the cinnamon rolls. But just in a medium-sized bowl, you're going to combine your cinnamon and your sugar together until you get a nice consistency. It's fairly simple, and then you can just set that aside for whenever you're ready to actually make the cinnamon rolls. So once your dough has doubled in size or has just risen in the fridge overnight, it'll look a little something like this, and it will stiffen quite a bit, which is good. It will help with actually making the cinnamon rolls. So you're just going to place this on a lightly floured surface And just making sure to get all of the air out of the dough, essentially all of the air bubbles, and rolling this out. You're going to roll this out to about a 1/2 inch to a 1/4 inch thick, and just making sure that the dough is not sticking on the bottom. So you might have to add a little bit more flour if needed, but don't add too much. Then grabbing your melted butter and just spreading it on, painting it on essentially like this. Just making sure to get every area possible on the dough. Then grabbing your cinnamon sugar mixture and really sprinkling it on. You can add on as much as you want here. Obviously, for flavor, the more the better. And I like to just tap on it so that it's really sinking into the dough like this. And from there, it's ready to roll. So you just roll it up. It's really simple, especially when the dough is cold like that. It stays pretty firm. So it's very nice and easy to roll up. And then just cutting them into about 1 inch thick. And once they're cut, placing them in your 8 by 8 inch pan. And you're going to let these rise for about 1.5 hours or until they've doubled in size. You do want to make sure to place these in a warm place and covering in plastic wrap. And this is what they look like when they're doubled in size. So they do get pretty big. Now these are ready to bake, so you're going to grab a piece of tin foil, just spreading a little bit of butter on there, and you're going to cover your cinnamon rolls for the first part of your baking. Adding the butter, just make sure that they don't stick to the top of the tin foil, but the tin foil will help them bake and not burn the top of them. So you're going to bake these with the tin foil at 350 for 22 minutes. And then removing the tin foil and baking for another 5 minutes without the tin foil. Now, obviously, this is up to your oven, so just make sure to check it pretty consistently. And while those cinnamon rolls are baking, making your icing. So basically just combining all of your ingredients, the sugar, the melted butter, cream, and vanilla, until you get this nice thick. I like the icing a little bit thicker. But if you want it to be a little bit runnier, you can add more cream or milk to it. And once that's ready, just setting that aside and waiting for the cinnamon rolls to finish up. And like I said before, just removing the tin foil for the last 5 minutes of the bake so they get a nice golden finish on them. And this is the final product of these cinnamon rolls once they are baked. You do want to let them cool for just a few minutes, but not too long, because you want them to still be warm when you're putting that icing on. So it'll be nice and delicious and spreadable, and just placing about a heaping tablespoon of icing on each of the rolls and spreading it out. What I love about this icing is that it is a little bit thicker, but it's also spreadable. And with the warmth of the cinnamon rolls, it's just perfect. And I mean, look at that. You can see the actual roll. It's so delicious, so light and fluffy and pillowy soft. These are a must try. If you've tried this recipe, let me know how it went in the comments. And if you liked this recipe, make sure to like and follow and subscribe for more recipes to come. And of course, thank you for watching.